Angry Drew McIntyre was shown roaming the halls at the start of Raw, and I was like, get it? You would be mad. You'd be like, oh, I can't believe it. I don't know what that noise was. Also, hello my friends and welcome to Ups and Downs. The show is the definition of 2 + 2 = potato, which means it makes no sense. If I say something you don't agree with, you and I have just entered into a verbal agreement, so now you can't get mad. Of course you're going to ignore that. You don't listen to anything that I say. I'm kidding. I don't care. Let's up those downs. When we did kick off Raw, and we got a mighty surprise, because Seth Rollins is back. Now, it kind of looked like he'd been holidaying in Bermuda, but man, he got a massive reaction, because of course he did. Some people like to go, I don't believe Seth Rollins is a star. Now look, you're allowed that opinion, but I think you're totally wrong. He makes Raw better. He also told us why he was here, and I was like, that's odd, bro. It's because your job. If you're cleared to go, you've got to go. But then he said, but there is more to all of this, because if I want to be the best wrestler of all time, I need to get my world championship back. So that's what I'm going to do. And what I really liked is that he didn't just go geese title shot, and he looked at the Money in the Bank props above his head, and he was like, well, that seems like a pretty good idea to me. I'm quite familiar with it, and it's a fast track. Damn it, I'm in. Clearly, Damian Priest did not agree, though, because nobody said his name, and yet he still appeared. So we are ignoring Wrestling Rule 14.8. Now, he did admit that his original plan was to cash in his briefcase on Seth Rollins because, get this, he respected it. That is like saying you were happy to ruin Christmas because your kids don't like presents. Priest then flipped out though, because he was like, man, Raw is doing just fine without you. And Seth Rollins was a bit like, listen, dude, we do have similarities because you use your briefcase and I use my briefcase. But you know what I learned soon after this? I needed to grow some balls and stand on my own 2 feet. I was like, excuse me, Seth. Damian Priest only been champion for like 60 days, and I went back and looked, and you took a lot more than 2 months before you did go out of your own, so you should give him the same break. Of course, he is tying into the fact that Damian Priest is still hitching his wagon to the Judgment Day. So Damian was like, all right, listen, I remember when you first won that world championship, we did have a fight, and you beat me. But now I am better, so screw all this Money in the Bank nonsense. We do have a pay-per-view premium live event coming up, and we're gonna need a title match. What do you say, Mr. Rollins? It's you versus me. Seth thought this was a trap, but Damian was like, it's not a trap. Rollins just believed him. I was like, yes, why wouldn't you believe the bad guy? How could he possibly lie? To be fair though, at least in this instance, he was on the money, and I mean that pun intended, and when we get to that show, it is indeed Sethy Boy versus Damo. So I really like this because while it felt fast, it's also totally justified, and it's got my brain going, what the flub are they going to do? Because I don't think we should take the belt off Damian Priest, especially given what we did at Clash of the Castle. But then what the flub is Seth Rollins' direction. I mean, maybe Drew wins the Money in the Bank. That's when he does his big comeback. You will see, and he catches it in on that show. That'd be quite funny. That's what I think we should do, but we probably won't. Either way, we set some stones here. Give it up. When we saw Chad Gable and the Alpha Academy in the back, Chad has totally lost it. More so. Because he was super mad at these idiots for what had happened at Clash of the Castle when he found Adam Pearce and actually said, these guys are absolute idiots. I feel like I deserve another Intercontinental title shot. Pearce went all Metallica here because he was like, no, sorry, you have to go to the back of the line. When Chad was so offended, he was like, fine, I will, and you can put me up against anybody you want, and I'll go beat him right now. Surprise, surprise, he was really gonna regret this. Because he did go to the ring, and everybody waited to see whose music was gonna hit, and I chuckled, because we got Raw! And out came Braun Strowman. Now I could have done without the commentators going so into the size difference. I understand that was the story here, but you don't need to go too deep. Like, CM Punk is quite clearly a lot shorter than Drew McIntyre, but you don't always need to point it out. And here, we were treating Chad Gable like he was Shorty G. Let's not do that. Either way though, this was the whole deal, because Braun just grabbed Chad and he threw him around the ring like he was a pillow. I mean, at one point, if he had laid down and slept on him, I would have got it. The absolute highlight though was when they were running around the ring and Chad Gable used Tozawa as a human shield. So Braun grabbed this poor human and just launched him in Chad's direction. I was like, excuse me, Mr. Referee, that should be a DQ. He used that guy as a weapon. This is more controversial because that must have distracted Chad Gable a little bit. We got back in the ring, power slam, 1, 2, 3, Braun wins. So by the end of the night, Chad can look back over these 3 days and decide it was the worst trio of his damn life, especially because here, he called the Alpha Academy in the ring and he was like, all these losses, it's completely your fault. He was definitely going to decapitate Tozawa too when Maxine Dupree, who was on flipping crutches, because of course she did hurt her ankle, actually used one of these to try and stop him. Damn, she's a hero. Because Chad is the opposite of that though. He took these things and threw them out of the ring, when of course he gave Tozawa a big old slap, and even though Otis had his back to all of this, his magical ears picked up what was going on. He turned around, he looked at Chad, deep down in his tum-tum, he decided, I can't take this anymore, and he pushed Gable to the ground, and these people went crazy. Now, he did not kill him here, and instead with the Afro Academy, they did walk out on Chad. That's because I think we are going to double back round to this in a few weeks. Probably going to get a lot worse. Now, if we don't do that, I'll be the first to admit this was a weird way to do it, but I trust WWE once again. Just go and listen to the fans. I love the fact that once again we are trying with Otis. This is the third time now, but this time we have to see it through because Otis is bloody brilliant. Then got a quick reminder that it was Finn Balor that pawned Liv Morgan's hotel key last week. Here we go. He was also being nice to Damian Priest in the back, saying, man, I've got your back if you need it when you take on Seth Rollins. But in this instance, Damian didn't care about any of that. He was like, nah, Finn, I want to know why you took that hotel key. Finn was so offended by this, and he was like, how dare thee accuse me of something like that? I was just trying to protect Dominic Mysterio. This is when Damian actually went, yeah, all right, fair enough, I'm sorry. So, of course, they get a fallout eventually, which we also teased, because Priest was like, oh, man, you could win that Money in the Bank qualifier later and get your hands on that briefcase, when Finn was like, yeah, and I can cash it in, give it a minute, on Cody Rhodes. Yeah, right. Dom then stormed in looking for his purple cow vest, which made me laugh, which was the same for Carlito, because without missing a beat, he was like, I bet you left it in Liv Morgan's hotel room. And after the Judgment Day, just looked at him like it was Christmas dinner and somebody had fired. So this is really good because like a bunch of kids arguing. And of course, when it comes to Dom, he is probably already in cahoots with Liv Morgan. And when we drop that clanger, well, everyone's gonna stop. Speaking of the Money in the Bank 2, we're about to go into our first qualifier. And just ignore what I said on SmackDown when talking about Carmella Hayes. I clearly don't know anything. But it was Iyo Sky versus Kiana James versus Zelina Vega, and I'll just tell you this for free, the rest you have to pay for. The ending surprised me. That was all fine as well, especially at one point because Zelina Vega hit the code red like she was in the Street Fighter tournament, when of course, for no reason, out came Liv Morgan wearing Dominic's purple stupid vest. Now, for some reason, when Zelina saw this, she just freaked out. At first I was like, why would you even care? But then I suppose she is in the LWO. That's when Daddy Mysterio is. This is stupid Mysterio. Maybe that's why. Kiana James didn't care about this, so she just smashed Zelina off the apron, but it meant that a bunch of wrestlers had been distracted by wrestlers on the outside of the ring, meaning they forgot they were in a wrestling match. When she turned around, Iyo Sky was there. Moonsault, uno, dos, tres. Now I like that too, because Iyo Sky should always be involved in matches like that, and the rest was okay, so I'm giving it an up. When it comes to Kiana James, one, why did she take the pin here, even though she's only just been called up from NXT? And two, what happened to that story with Adam Pearce that has gone oddly quiet? So look, this is a geek down, it's a nerd down, but it's still a down. That's how I felt in my tum-tum. What do you want me to do? In stark contrast too, we had this video for Braun Baker, who's also just been called up from NXT, and a reminder that he killed Ricochet last week. I was like, yeah, do more with that with other people. It also tied into Sami Zayn coming to the ring because, of course, he was so damn happy because, look, one, he is still the Intercontinental Champion. He still wanted to send a message to the Afro Academy saying, you must leave Chad Gable, much like me and Jey Uso left the bloodline. But given what he did see earlier, he thinks good times are ahead. As such, he feels like he needs to move on. So somebody backstage must have ran around and found Braun Breaker and gone, Braun, it's your time. He's saying the words, because from nowhere, yeah, here came the lone wolf. I can't lie because I was excited, and Zayn was even like, listen, man, I know why you are here. You've been running through Raw. That's what Braun said too. He's like, yeah, I've been kicking everybody's ass, and now I want that belt. I was like, yeah, give it to him. Didn't get much further though, because Sheamus then walked out. At first I was like, what is happening? But of course, when it comes to the Irishman and the IC title, you can always marry those up, because for the last 5 years, Sheamus has been going, oh man, the one belt I've never won is that one. So it makes all the sense in the world. Now, sadly here, he was looking at Sami Zayn, saying, I'm going to take that belt. So Braun lost it. It's like, why is everybody ignoring me? Sheamus also told Sami he would do anything to get his hands on it. So I just said, all right, eat that loaf of bread with your feet. And just as Braun Breaker and Sheamus were about to get into it, Sam was like, everyone just needs to calm down because I'm going to go backstage and I'm going to find Adam Pearce and I'm going to get this match made. Almost had an aneurysm here. I was like, are you serious? Because that's something I want to see. So seriously, I have had dreams worse than this, and we were going to get the match. There wasn't going to be any shenanigans until the end, but given how I felt in the moment, we then got a video for Dragon Lee, which wasn't going to help him at all when we also did a promo with Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. They were like, hey ho, we're the new tag team champions and we're happy to beat anyone. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark then interrupted, and actually we really did tie into last week, which I crapped on at the time, so go to show what I know, because they were like, hey, we did get that victory over 7 days ago. What we're going to do is we're going to push pause, because me and her want to go after that Money in the Bank thingamajig. When we do have that, we're coming back for you. I'm like, yes, we should do more of this, because the women's tag team division needs more depth, and it also needs more stories. I kind of felt like this achieved both. When Dragon Lee proved that he did indeed waste his time making that video, he took on Carlito, and he lost. Incredibly, once again, we do have to talk about Liv Morgan, because she walked out again wearing Dominic's moo-moo coat. Now, somehow he got the word, and he came out saying, please can I have my jacket back? When Zelina Vega was also here, and everybody started to fight. At one point, Dominic was also trying to hit his dad, but Daddy Rey Mysterio got back into this, and then Joaquin Wilde also thought, I want a little piece of this action. So no wonder the referee was distracted. How could anybody keep up with this? It was carnage. It, of course, allowed JD McDonough to sneak in, though, and trip Dragon Lee, which is quite brave, you know, because he is a dragon. When Carlito realized, oh my gosh, dragons have backs, he hit the backstabber, and he won. Anything that makes me laugh this much cannot be bad, so I am going to give it an up. It was like an out-of-control roller coaster. But as we've already seen, including last week, and as you will see as this show goes on, WWE gone way too crazy with distractions. Now, most of them are quite entertaining, but here it comes. It's the law of diminishing returns. When you do get one after the other, you start to expect them, and you don't want that. Also, sometimes it is just a little bit of a cheap way to have the bad guy win. Just have him cheat in a different way, so that's a down. Like, it's a nothing down, but it's a down. This is when WWE aired that awesome social media video explaining how CM Punk became the fake referee in that Drew McIntyre-Damian Priest match. And all I'm gonna say is do more of this, because it ties into the little things, which actually we were gonna get more of in about 2 minutes. We didn't see Drew McIntyre walk into the ring, when also we cut to Chad Gable, who was yelling at the Alpha Academy, when Otis was like, I'm done with you, man, and we leaving you for good. Gable then screamed at them, well, they're expelled anyway, when he almost promised to do what Otis could never do, which was cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase successfully and win the world title. Like, is he actually going to do that? And look, we will never know, because if you have seen the end of Raw, Chad Gable is now dead. We'll get to it. McIntyre then finally made his way out in front of the fans, though, who of course were chanting CM Punk. And even though he went to speak, he just looked to them and decided, you know what? I can't do this anymore, so I quit. And he walked off. And Pierce tried to stop him too, and we also saw a clip of Triple H and Drew McIntyre talking, and Drew called him Paul. This is super duper real. But they weren't able to convince him. And yeah, in terms of the story, Drew McIntyre's had enough of this CM Punk, and he ain't coming back. Oodalally. I thought this was so well done though, because it's so damn simple, and it will tie into a simple return as well. CM Punk can be on the cusp of about to win something super duper big when Drew boots him right in the face. Just turn around is fair play. So it goes to show what I know, because I had fantasy booked McIntyre to turn up and just go crazy, but it also does tie into this other thing. We deliberately made sure to show the gorilla position here, looking all nice and lovely, because that ain't how it was going to look at the end of the night. So once again, we shall talk about it, but Drew McIntyre is just one of the best characters on WWE right now, and is getting up. When Kaden Carter and Katana Chance defeated Damage Control. And this was another weird one, because it was meant to be a big deal, and it was a big deal, and the commentators told us it was a big deal, but because it only went 2 minutes, well, it was hard to treat it like a big deal. It also ties into that down we gave earlier, because we had more nonsense here, because Lyra Valkyria just skipped out at one point, and basically tried to boost the confidence of Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, which means essentially she cast support. That costs a lot of MP. It worked though, because Dakota Kai was another one who couldn't believe there was a wrestler on the outside the ring. She turned around, she got hit with the party keg, whatever that amazing finisher is called. She lost 1, 2, 3. No, I think it's called the after party. So what do I know? I am an idiot. But I actually did like this because we talked about it 5 minutes ago. If Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are about to leave the tag team scene, we need as many teams as possible, and they have to be believable. And to be a believable team, you need to get wins. So actually, when you throw it all in a bucket, give it up. But yes, this really did feel like second, third fiddle stuff because we just rushed it so much. Raw is a 3-hour show. I'm sure we could have shifted some things around. So while it is heading in the right direction, that bit is a down. The best part is it tying into this whole thing with Iyo Sky, who freaked out again, saying Damage Control needs to change. It must mean that someone new is joining. Is that going to be like Julia? But she's been pegged for NXT. Listen to me. I'm interested. We shall see. When Braun Breaker and Sheamus just wrecked each other, Because I'm a weird person, I loved it. I mean, it was just clotheslines, backbreakers, and punches when they found themselves on the outside, so Braun just threw his body into Sheamus, and these two went crashing over out on the announce table. We also let Breaker be a powerhouse here because he hit Sheamus with a gutbuster when short. He went for the Frankensteiner, and he slipped a little bit. I don't care, man. I've got real problems in my life. It's like last week and the week before, I tried to tell the joke when I say, oh, it's a hurricane run off the top rope. People bite every time. It's called a Frankenstein. You do know I know that. Just laugh. Sheamus didn't care about that though, so he hit this white noise, but when Braun got back in his feet and ran at him, the Irishman kneed him right in the face. I honestly could have watched this all day, or for 15 to 20 minutes, which is usually the optimal length of a wrestling match. The only thing that did get me a little bit is that just as Sheamus was about to hit the bro kick, of course, Ludwig Kaiser teleported in from the Starship Enterprise and he tripped the Irishman. The referee did see this and went, well, I gotta obey the rules. That's a DQ. Now, we've already given it down for this kind of shenanigans, but again, I just wanted to throw more evidence on the fire. And actually, this one does make all the sense in the world, because Bowser's son, Ludwig, absolutely hates Sheamus. They have made that very clear. He also definitely doesn't want him to have any gold, which brought us to the greatest moment of my life, which is hyperbole. Because after everybody had started fighting everybody else, the security tried to separate them. Ludwig Kaiser decided, well, I'm just going to take Sheamus over to Simba the Steel Steps. I'm going to murder him. And when he ran round the ring, Braun Breaker, who was essentially in a different district, took off. He went round the opposite side of the ring, and man, he speared this guy half to death. And honestly, it really is absolutely brilliant. So more than made up for anything that had happened, especially because I was like, wait a minute, you're going to put these three and Sami Zayn in the Intercontinental title picture? That makes me do the dance of joy, because Sheamus is all time, Sami Zayn is all time, and Braun Breaker and Ludwig Kaiser are two guys that I want to get a push more than adore. So yeah, I thought this was great stuff. When we cut to Dom Dom, looking for that damn vest, and I was half expecting him to go, see my vest, made of real gorilla chest. But he didn't. Liv was still wearing it though, so Mysterio asked for it back. When of course Morgan went, alright, fine, you can take it, but you're gonna have to take it off me yourself. But man, Raw getting kinky. It was also proper wrestling, because of course as soon as Dommy Boy started to do this, Damian Priest turned around the corner. He was like, man, what have I told you? He basically turned into Dominic's dad. He did think they were canoodling though, so he told Mysterio to go back to the clubhouse. When he said to Liv, he's not interested in you. Will you please leave him alone? Morgan was like, I think he's super duper interested. Damian was like, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. And he just walked off. So this is just good stuff, and everybody's playing their role in the right way. And when we do get the big reveal that, oh my gosh, they are in a relationship, I actually think it will be one of those moments you remember for a long time. Giving it up. Karrion Kross was here next. And of course, he wants to face the New Day. It has to be one-on-one though, and the other person can't get involved. And that's why he knows it's going to be Kofi Kingston, because when it comes to Kofi and Xavier Woods, it's always Kingston making all the decisions. He's trying to drive a wedge here, though actually he did a pretty good job. So we then cut to the New Day, and while Xavier Woods was quite clearly ready to accept, actually, Kofi did keep interrupting him, and yeah, he took the match. At the end there, Woods looked a little bit murked. So they sold this so well, I've now started to ponder, are they actually going to break the New Day up? Is that something I want? Could I handle seeing Kofi Kingston take on Xavier Woods? I mean, I may cry real tears from my waterhole. It's all done very well though, and Karrion Kross is way better as manipulative Karrion, especially because we don't need spooky Karrion anymore, because the big spook is coming at the end. The Uso then told us he was going to win the Money in the Bank and call it a yeet case, so I look forward to the internet melting down over that one. When the commentators told us, oh my gosh, Drew McIntyre has deleted his social media. So as ever, Drew is just diving right in. Of course he is, he's great. Which brought us to our main event, Money in the Bank qualifier, and it was Finn Balor versus Jey Uso versus Rey Mysterio. I could have watched this match 32,000 times on 72 different continents in 100 different realities, and the outcome on every occasion would have been good. Mysterio was going nuts at the start too, with crossbodies and surprise roll-ups for the 1-2. When Finn Balor saw this, he got an idea, and he went for his own version of the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. But I suppose there was too much experience here, and everyone kept kicking out. Jey then smacked Balor right in the face as Rey hit a Hurricane Run. That's when Uso tried to climb to the top, but Balor grabbed him and stopped him. And I could have told him that nobody is able to climb to the turnbuckle in 2024. You always get murked. It did help Rey though, because he was able to hit a 6-1 on everyone. And of course, out came Dominic Mysterio. Yes, he was in the vest. Everybody calm down. Danny Mysterio just whacked him one, but JD McDonagh was also here to help, as was Carlito. So they teamed up on this guy. when all of a sudden, I don't know why it makes me laugh so much, we got it again, Raw! And here came Braun Strowman. It's a good thing this wasn't a sneak attack. He told everyone he was coming. After that, Jay was able to super kick Balor, who came back with a sling blade. And I guess during that exchange, Rey Mysterio must have taken his med pack because he was back. It didn't give him all that much health though, because Finn Balor was able to hit him with the coup de grace. At first I was like, oh my gosh, it's the initial attempt of the coup de grace, and it's actually going to hit. And while this is true, it's when Jey Uso jumped off the top rope, he hit the splash, and he pinned him for the 1, 2, 3. He's going to Money in the Bank. This was a really good match though, and had a good old time, so I am going to give it an up when we got to our big closing angle. Because for weeks we have had all of those QR codes, they have been pointing to this specific night, and I think the fans knew this too because they lit up like a Christmas tree. It helped the atmosphere. We then saw a magical door and some crazy person crawling out of it when their face got lit up by a lantern, and it's the new and improved Nikki Cross. Or the old and the creepy Sister Abigail, you take your pick. She pointed to the back, and of course the camera person followed this point, because why wouldn't you do that? But man, I lost my mind. Because not only did we see who I presume is Eric Rowan with a big mallet that said help on it, and he was dressed as Rambling Rabbit, but we were back in the gorilla position backstage. And these people had just absolutely decimated it. I mean, when I say murder, I mean murder, and the most noble individual that we saw was Chad Gable, who was against a wall with blood splattered on the wall behind him. So I'm sorry, he has been killed. Somebody go ask Leonardo DiCaprio. This then continued too, because I think we got Dexter Lumis, who is now Mercy the Buzzard, Joe Gacy, who is Huskus the Pig Boy, when Uncle Howdy, who of course is Bo Dallas, walked in. He thought this was the best thing he'd ever seen in his life. What a wonderful corridor of death. They then did the most wrestling pose ever as Uncle did shout, "We're here," as the lights went off and Raw came to an end. But I started applauding, man. And I don't think WWE could have actually done it any better. It was a proper goosebump ending to Raw as well, especially because I have no idea what they're planning. I mean, maybe it's going to be a whole Seven Sins thing, because again, they did murder Chad Gable, and what has he been like the past couple of months? Absolutely insufferable. Once again, I just love the fact that we saw the gorilla position absolutely destroyed, because we had seen it so lovely and pristine earlier. It's those little things, man, it helps you invest. So I am getting carried away here, but that is the point. But also, these mother hubbards, they totally destroyed the crime. Let me see. We got 2 murders. That's right, 2. There was definitely a muscular man who had been killed as well. And given they weren't booked for the show, this counts as trespassing. They also destroyed public property. And last time I checked, you can't walk around carrying a massive mallet. What was that? 5, 6? Screw it. Just add it up by 10. This will happen in the space of 2 minutes though, but again, that does tie in to the point. I'm not just gonna give it an up, I'm gonna give it a golden up. This really is something that you should go out of your way to see, even if you don't like the spooky wookie. I mean, the presentation alone. So I'm very excited to see what is next, and I thought this Raw really pulled it out. Like, I'm giving it a few downs, but none of them actually matter. So I take my finger of power, which sounds like a euphemism, give it an up. Now, of course, please do leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought about Raw. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the bell, ding ding, notification squad. And there will be a video on the screen somewhere, which are my thoughts on Clash of the Castle, because you can never have enough bald people in your life. What? Goodbye.